Okay, so here we have superheroes and the path for it. This one, it's relatively long for a tournament song. I think it was like 4.5 minutes or something, maybe closer to 5. But as far as the path goes, it actually was pretty alright. There's a few things that can trip you up, but we'll just go straight into it. So the first thing we'll see, we have these whammies. All of these sustains are pretty short, and even in the next phrase there's a short whammy. So a bit like The Thing is the best example of short whammies. These ones are a bit easier though because they're all back to back, and the tempo is a bit slower. So yeah, it's just a case of getting as much as possible. When it comes to this second phrase here in this whammy though, I opted to not whammy this note, and the reason for that is just because the next one is an immediate act, and since I obviously use the button, going from the whammy bar to having my finger over the button in a relatively short space of time, plus these notes are kinda weird with this open note, it made it a bit too much to handle, I guess you could say. So I just got rid of this whammy here and lost, I guess, 400 points or something. It's not the end of the world. This song, it could come down to the wire, but it never did for me. So yeah. The good thing is, it is an immediate activation, and there's no overlap at all, so this first activation is very easy to remember, just after the open note. And I believe, yeah, it's on a down strum, so no worries there. First activation is A-OK, second activation, even easier. The only thing here is we have this whammy here, and really easy to remember, it's just the fast part of the first solo. So yeah, as soon as we see this descending triplet activate, boosh. Generally ends around here. Maybe this note if we get lucky with the whammy. All of this whammy. I don't know why I'm just focusing on this note, but yeah, there's a whammy all the way through this phrase. Excuse me. So yeah, this activation, pips dead easy. Next phrases, both of them have whammy, same as the first phrase. This one with its shorter whammies. And then we have our big solo activations. This one's worth a lot of points. It says to activate here. I decided just to activate on the measure, makes it easier, and I generally still ended up, like, the start bar would end on the grace note at the end. So I'm losing 400, but I'm still not getting a bunch of sustain or anything due to the lack of early whammy. Yeah, so after we activate here, the only thing we need to remember is that there's a phrase pretty much straight after that has a decent amount of whammy, and that's definitely worth getting because the stuff here is it's fast notes, and probably the most valuable activation is either that or the last one. But yeah, not bad so far. The worst one's been the first activation. So fourth act, more whammy, simple whammies, nothing to say there. So it tells us to activate right here, and the activation will end one note shy of this relatively quick phrase here. So as you'd maybe expect, if I got good enough whammy here to outdo this pass, because it's the no oily whammy pass, it was possible to overlap. I never did it in practice, but much like Farmer says in the match with Preston, somehow I must have been whammying out of my mind, and I managed to overlap this phrase. So from then on, instead of activating on this open note here, activating like a bar earlier in the middle of the sustain. I just saw it toward the tail end of the sustain, so I think right here. And this maybe is the only instance of activating somewhere that isn't a note. I think in Universal Mind, but I'm not even going over the tiebreakers, but as far as regular songs, activating right here is maybe the only one where I'm not activating on a note. Like, and this, I'm not counting times where I'm like tilt activating and just by chance I don't hit the note at the same time I activate. But this one intentionally activated at the end of the sustain, so we don't overlap here. So yeah, extra points on this pass if we end right here as well. And it's always going to look like you're going to overlap, but you just got to go for it. You can't be hitting this note later because it'll throw you off the riff afterwards. But anyway, we will get this phrase without overlap, and even if you do overlap, it's not the end of the world. because this last phrase you can whammy it enough to get star power out of it. But obviously, not overlapping is much more beneficial because we get more of this like pure 16th notes at the end. But this last phrase, whammy the hell out of it. These sustains aren't that short, the BPMs get slower, so these sustains get longer as we go along, so we can get more whammy. Well, strictly speaking we get the same amount of whammy, but it's just easier to get that whammy out of it. And yeah, we get this really long note. Plenty of time to prepare for the activation. And it says to activate right here, but that's just because it's the earliest time you can activate this. I'm pretty sure you could activate anywhere in this whole thing. As long as you do activate before the end. So yeah, instead of activating here, I generally just activated on the orange note. Easy to identify, but it doesn't matter. It could just be any point after this, I guess after this blue note, right? No, not the blue note. Yeah, this is literally the where it starts chipping the 16th, so yeah. Any point after here, and before whenever you would be losing points. And so yeah, that's the path for superheroes. 611. I don't know what. I can't remember what I was getting. I think it was closer to 602. That doesn't sound right though. I feel like I shouldn't have been losing that many points, but I'll see when I do a run of it just how much I was losing out on. But yeah, we'll go on to the notes now. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at the notes for superheroes. Now this one is mainly going to come down to just looking at each of the solos. Pretty much, there's not much else outside of that. There's at least one thing, but I'll talk about that when we get to it. So anyway, guitar solo 1. This one's fine, it's just one-handing. You have your activation right there. Otherwise it's just sliding up and down. There really isn't anything particular that I do. It's just, if I want to slide, I'll slide. If I don't want to, I won't, so that's me sliding. If I don't want to, I'll just extend and hit the oranges with my, like that. Obviously there's parts where you have to slide, but that's the easiest solo, really. So if you can't do that, you're probably screwed for the entire song. But anyway, guitar solo 2. Now there'll be a fair bit to say about this. Starts off with pretty quick strumming. So you see there, it might not be that easy to tell, but right at the end of it, it switches to 3 triplet notes. Right there, 3 triplet notes. So yeah, if you remember that's there, you won't overstrum there, because I'm pretty sure even though it is Clone Hero, if you just do 16th throughout, it probably will overstrum. Or not, because it's Clone Hero. And you see, it sort of comes at a weird time there. You see, I got it wrong and I recovered, but yeah, it's sort of like not quite 2 measures of it. It's like 2.5 measures of strumming. And then that's fine. And this I stay in first position for this. The sliding too much for me in a tournament, I don't know, it just made me feel uncomfortable. And I'll side up for the last one like that. Well, that's guitar solo 2A. That one's, it's pretty okay if you can strum this fast comfortably. I mean, slower than Ties of Bind, for instance. So this strumming will end on a down, I might as well add. Okay, that's the easier of the two halves of this solo. Guitar solo 2B, I'm just going to play it first. Okay, so it's a bit of a mess. We start off with this first half of it. So just looking at it, it's not, there's no real patterns in it, it's just, for some reason it's not taps, even though I'm pretty sure it's tapped, like on a real guitar. And one-handing this is what I used to do, which is viable, but for me, doing that in a tournament setting, it just sort of wasn't consistent enough, because there's a lot of random missing gaps in the notes. So I opted to standard tap it, as I do with the second half as well, but it's a bit more complicated there. So as I say, just look for the highest note. And even then, when you're coming back down, it can screw you over, but I swear that was a lag spike. So if I do this really slow, because a lot of people don't standard tap anymore, so I'll just show what I'm thinking. I'll do it super slow. So look in there, blue is the top note here, then it's orange, orange, then there's a blue I can see, then it's an orange, and another orange, orange, blue, blue, yellow, orange, yellow, blue, blue, yellow, 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 25% speed, orange, blue, and I wouldn't tap this last yellow because it's a sustain, it just makes it a bit awkward. So I'm looking for the highest note of a certain like phrase, I guess you could say. And it's all in first position. Right? For some reason I'm missing that, I don't know why. And there's at least one part where I can ghost a bit, which is where right there, where I can just do a quad zig instead. So I'll just point that out again. It's the sort of thing that happens in chasing the light that makes it so awkward. So there's a red note followed by a descending quad. And without this extra yellow that you can anchor, it makes that really awkward to do without ghosting. It's what makes stuff like this hard in Rock Band. So yeah, because we're in Clone Hero, we can ghost the yellow there, and no penalty. And as I said, there's no pattern, so there's no method other than standard tapping. Like stuff like this, you can just do any speed really. I mean, I can't tell because the hyperspeed's so fast. Just standard tapping. And it's such a useful tool. I don't know why people laugh at it so much. It means you don't have to learn methods for this, and you don't have to rely on one-handing if your one-handing isn't that good. It's just an extension of your arm. That's what tapping is on real guitar, right? People aren't doing alt zigs on Stratocasters, are they? So yeah, this stuff, like, it's too much to remember. With this, I just don't have to remember anything. I just go in thinking I'm standard tapping this part, and I can just identify where the highest note is. You know, that's all it is. It's just tapping the highest note, nothing else. I'm just hitting everything else with the left hand in first position. No sliding, no nothing. It's the easiest way you can do it, really. But anyway, that's the first part. Now I shouldn't set the marker here because there is one thing I want to say about this orange sustain that goes into the second half of the guitar solo too. So for me it was a bit weird if I tapped and strummed this. Just felt a bit awkward there. So what I would do, I'd one hand this and then double tap the blues. So I'm sort of doing tapping underneath the note I'm held. Okay, so there is a position shift in this one. There doesn't have to be, but it just makes it a little bit more comfortable. So I'll slow it down once again, and I'll point out the notes that I'm tapping here. So yeah, right here. Double blue, orange, 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 blue, blue, orange. Obviously blue is this part, you know, it's just obvious. Oranges, pretty obvious again. Blue, double yellow, yellow, blue, and this is where the position shift is because there's no more greens after this. Blue, blue, orange, blue, blue, yellow, blue, orange, if I feel like it. I don't have to tap that last note because it's the last note there. So a bit faster now. Position shift. Okay, and other than that, it's just getting up to speed. You can identify which notes you need to tap, you just need to do it quick. And then that last orange, you can bring your hand down or not. And I'll do it all in first position just to show that fine as well. It just makes doing these little ziggy things on the red, yellow, blue a bit more awkward. But it is very possible. Just because your ring finger has less strength than your middle finger. That's the only reason for that. But yeah, that's solo 2. I'll play the whole thing again. Just see it in action. Oh yeah, let's play the full song after that. Let's just pretend I hit that, hey? Sometimes it happens, you just have really stupid misses and there's nothing you can do about that. You can concentrate all you like. You can hit all of this and then you just miss some random thing that you didn't even think was a problem. But yeah, it shows that at least the hard parts are consistent, huh? But yeah, that's solo 2, so we've gone through solo 1, solo 2. There's one thing I want to go over before the end. It's going to be the very end of chorus 3 here, and this is probably something I should have said in the past. And it's a reason you might turn off tilt for this song. Now sometimes that helps if you have like some fast shredding that you could accidentally tilt in. And this goes right here for this trill. First of all, remembering it's even there can be a challenge, but yeah, it's very easy because you just get star power just before this trill. It's very easy for me at least, so I'll be, well, I wouldn't be in 3rd position, but you know what I mean. So my neck can be vibrating quite a bit, it can accidentally tilt. So this part I was just really cautious with. I try to like hold my neck down. And yeah, and if I do it with a pinky, it's pretty much a guaranteed tilt. So it's remembering that that's there, and that's the reason you could turn tilt off, because there are no tilt activations in this song. So that would get rid of that problem, but I didn't do it because I don't know. But yeah, that's just a little side note about that. Then we have this section, ending suites, which includes some chords for some reason. So whammying, no problem. And we'll set our RJA section, and I'll just play it first. And this activation here, this whole section alone is worth like 100,000 points, maybe a bit more. So if you're particularly adept, you'll notice that I'm not really staying in first position at all. I'm sliding like any time I get the chance. And I mean like any time. I'm only in first position to hit the green notes. Now I never shift into 3rd position even though that could work. And I guess the reason for that is that there's some kind of large leaps from that would be from 3rd position all the way to 1st position. And you know, your pinky and ring finger can hold on to be alive long enough just to hit the bits there at the top. But having said that, this is still a missable section. Because as I say, there's no method. I'm just one-handing it. And I didn't opt to standard tap this because it's just too convoluted with the patterns that there are. Like that pattern, I guess you could call them like reverse hooks. That sort of thing is really stupid to standard tap. So I'm just one-handing it and sliding up beyond 1st position wherever I can. I'll demonstrate that at least, what it would look like to standard tap. So there's a lot of ghosting. This part right here, really awkward. It would make like the quinzigs more consistent, but it's really not. They really aren't fast enough to make sliding up and down much of a problem. And that's the end of the song. So there isn't really anything else to talk about for the rest of it, I don't think. So we'll go on to a run of it right now. Okay, so that was Superheroes 606K. I think this song varied a lot due to the whammy, and I'm not sure if this was a consistent score at all, but at least hitting the notes is consistent. So yeah, I think anywhere from 602 to like 606 was about what we were getting. Maybe this was a bit higher. Maybe I got 607 once, I really don't know, I can't remember. But anyway, we'll move on now to the next hybrid song, which is BGN6.